have to report to staff in the early 30s with a higher income. Yes, you could easily kick off those people in their 40s. If you do that, then these people in their 40s will lose incentive. I think they will lose their drive to work hard.
The way big companies maintained close relationships with their small suppliers was another tradition that began to crack. In Hiroshima, hundreds of small factories did most, if not all, their business with Mazda. In exchange for loyalty, the mother company would help out in times of difficulty. The suppliers were not necessarily the cheapest, but they were family. After years of declining orders, the Mazda suppliers were summoned to hear that Ford wanted to end these cozy relationships.
We've tried to make it very clear that we are focusing on purchasing components or parts or services based on the fundamentals of the business. World-class quality, world-class cost, world-class technology, and world-class delivery. And have made it quite clear to people that they need to meet those criteria in order to be competitive in their business dealings with them.
Nakamura Manufacturing made impact bars to reinforce car doors. They had depended totally on Mazda. After years of cutting their costs, they found it difficult to cope with the new, more ruthless approach.
Typically, the ones that are uncomfortable with it are companies that are not globally competitive in one or more of those categories I just mentioned: quality, cost, technology, or delivery.
Nakamura tried to find customers elsewhere.
マツダの体制というのが変わっているからね、今までのようにはいかないということです。そういうことを考えます。
Mr. Nakamura cut his workforce from 70 to 15.
これといった商品がないし、そうするともう選別されたということになるんじゃないですかね。
Finally, he decided to close the factory. He was in no position to offer the generous early retirement terms large companies could manage. After 40 years in business, it was the last payday.
非常に残念でございますけど、今後いろんな道を、中村製作所以外の道をやろうと思いますけど、改めて十分気をつけて一つ努力してもらうよろしくお願いします。
今日に至り皆さんにも迷惑をかけた面もかなりあると思います。そういうことに対する経営者として大変恐縮に思っておるわけですが、皆さんもこれからいろいろご苦労はあると思いますが、これからだ、またこれからだという意気で一生懸命やってもらいたいと思います。本当に長い間ご協力いただきまして、こんな粗事な挨拶で申し訳ないのでございますが、本当にありがとうございました。はい、皆さんじゃあこれで一応は、最後の集会を終わらせていただきます。よろしくお願いします。
園内のサークルの方々に 今一度盛大な拍手をお願いいたします。カバープレー技術部 FC サークル。
After 3 years of tough Ford management, Mazda was ready to celebrate its achievements.
Hyoshojo FC Sakuru Dono. Our best net profit since 1985 and only 6 okuen short of the all-time record set in 1985.
But though Mazda itself was doing better, the small companies who supplied it, like smaller companies all over Japan, were paying the price. Tens of thousands of small businesses went into bankruptcy. Last year, unemployment peaked at just under 5%, more than double the 1990 figure. Redundancy has traumatized the middle-aged salarymen who'd expected to stay with their firms until they reached retirement. When Japanese television takes its cameras into employment exchanges, called Hello Work offices, many insist their faces are blanked out. The shame is so acute that they don't want people to know they're there.
We live in a block of flats. Neighbors notice you're not going to work anymore and they start gossiping. They stare at you and wonder, have you been sacked? In Japan, it's generally thought losing your job is your own fault. People think you get fired because you're an incompetent worker.
Mr. Toyota is fighting a rearguard action to get his job back. He and his fellow unionists have been trying to alert the public to the methods some companies use to get rid of people who won't go voluntarily.
Over the course of 2 years, I was steadily demoted, from branch manager right down to just a plain clerk. And as my status shrank, my salary, commissions, and share of the company profits went down too. I was given a desk on my own, away from other people. At the beginning, my desk had a phone, but after a time that was taken away. I was well and truly isolated. I ended up with nobody working for me, which was psychologically difficult. My pride was hurt. This was hard in all sorts of ways. But of course, that was the company's intention.
In Osaka, a growing number of former office workers are joining the homeless. Because big companies have traditionally provided welfare, there is little state aid for those who have lost their jobs. Some have no money. Others make themselves homeless because they feel so humiliated. They can't face their families.
The government does nothing for people like me. They should be ashamed, not me. In my worst nightmares, I would never have imagined that I could end up like this. I haven't even told my children where I am.
To cut costs, employers are outsourcing and turning to the new temporary staff agencies which have grown up so quickly. The longest established is Persona, which sees itself as a model new-style company, where pay and promotion have always been by performance, and half the managers are women. Yasuyuki Nambu has become a millionaire after setting up the business 25 years ago. A relentless self-publicist, Nambu uses his networking skills to promote his company.
クリントンさんは若いけど僕も若いんだけどね、これはね5年前ですから初めて大統領に今世の中で人材派遣というものがもう
Temporary staffing has completely taken root alongside the Japanese lifetime employment system.
いろんな意味でその女性だけではなく
And not only women, but also middle-aged men, younger people, and even students are using it.
新しい人材派遣のシステムを使い始めたと。
The unions believe temp agencies like Persona are another nail in the coffin of lifetime employment.
次々とパソナがアウトソーシングと称して契約して、そして契約されたその中身の中に私たちのさまざまな労働者をぶつ切りの派遣労働の中に流し込んでいくということが始まりつつあるわけであります。
When the union tried to deliver a letter to Persona, the two sides were soon locked in a procedural argument.
お返事はちゃんと文章で答え出しますか。答えは出しますか。文章。同じやつですか。
違う。じゃあ声を上げてるんですよ。申し訳ございませんと、世の中にちゃんと謝罪をすると、本人たちの謝罪をすると、それはうちの要求書ね。一旦もうああいういかがわしいことやめてくださいと。ね。それから高砂高齢問題。
これ同じ内容ですよね、この前のね。いいですよ。この前にいただいてるから。
何それ。なんでそれは。そういう失礼な態度ないだろう。いいですよ、なんでそれ。テーブルをつけないとも失礼だけどな。名刺の交換するぐらいはできるのかね。ちゃんとそれでもやっていいと思います。
The new insecurity among white-collar workers has even been reflected in the TV commercials for energy drinks. 10 years on, the stereotype businessman is now distracted. To survive the recession, he needs the pick-me-up.
わからない場合にはわからないふりはっきり答えよ。第8条、いかなる困難に直面しても目的を放棄せず
身を隠すことなく矢を受け止め血を流しているという点であなたよりはるかに優れた存在だということあなたに言いたいのは次
Some hope there may still be a uniquely Japanese answer to fiercer competition abroad and falling orders at home. More traditional companies continue to send their staff away to toughening up courses known as hell training. They emphasize the quintessential national qualities. But most Japanese acknowledge that character forming simply won't be enough. When the most senior businessmen gather for their annual assembly,